If you've seen Whiplash, luckily J.K. Simmons
I'm familiar.
is not in charge of telling you this.
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
I don't know.
But yeah, like hitting enemies on perfect as opposed to okay or great, like, is its own reward. But yeah, once you get into the more like interesting enemies is when like things really start to ramp up, and that's where like the main intrigue of the game is. And even on this track, which is coming up here in a second, you're gonna see some of that already. What is up, gamers and rhythm fans, and welcome to Game Gems, the show where we go hands-on with the latest cool, small, hidden gem video games and give you our initial impressions. Today we're checking out Rift of the NecroDancer, the part visual novel, but mostly rhythm game from Brace Yourself Games. I am Christian Macias, and joining me once again, video lead, Peter Hunt Spitek. Peter, you ready to hit some tasty licks, big dog?
You said visual novel and rhythm game, and that's actually the cross-section of the things I enjoy most in life.
That and Hatsune Miku, am I right, fellas? Bottom right-hand corner. That just passed by. Just wanted to point that out. Yeah.
No, I saw her. Got to get that Fortnite skin, but...
Let me tell you about Rift of the NecroDancer. We're going to head into some story mode. Weirdly, the story mode is tucked away. Like, it's the fourth thing down on the main menu. You can just hit play and just do kind of like arcade mode style, but I think story mode does a good job of kind of giving you the pitch of the game. So we're playing as Cadence, the protagonist of the other games from Brace Yourself Games. I'm thinking, of course, of Crypt of the NecroDancer here. And we get sucked into another world, and we have to fight enemies on a rhythm game sort of track. And the catch of the game is, well, the enemies hit back, so to speak. So we're going to go right into our first sort of track here with Dove.
So I'm so interested to see how this works, because in Crypt of the NecroDancer, it was very like metronome simulator-y, where it's just like it's only on the beat, you know what I mean? And so I was kind of impressed by like Hi-Fi Rush, which kind of switched things up by having things on the beats and then on twos as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna get into that, specifically like the half beat or syncopated type enemies. That's gonna come up later in the video, so don't worry there. This is like the first track, so I want to just throw out like what this game is. You know, you hit enemies on the beat, but the catch is that some enemies like will take two, like these blue slimes, you gotta hit them twice, right? So they'll go up the track. Some enemies will take three. There's all kinds of different stuff. We're gonna much like the game story mode, we're gonna gradually introduce you to those in this video. To answer your question though, Peter, yeah, things get much more interesting and much more challenging the further in the game you progress. So that stuff is there for you.
Okay. You see that it makes me a little bit more interested, because a lot of these, like I said, like a lot of these like rhythm games, I like that these guys kind of go to a different spot, end up feeling like a metronome simulator, you know what I mean? Because it's just like they only want you to attack on like ba 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 ba, you know what I mean, on the beat. But this is kind of cool.
Yeah, so you finish a track, you get like your score, which is, I've never gotten past S tier. I want to. I've gotten so close.
Oh, but it goes further. Oh, okay.
It does go further. I haven't seen it, but yeah, like that stuff is there for you. Like even that isn't to say like hitting enemies on the beat isn't satisfying though, because they introduced this little accuracy meter there. You can see on average if you're coming across late or early. If you've seen Whiplash, luckily J.K. Simmons
I'm familiar.
is not in charge of telling you this.
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
I don't know.
But yeah, like hitting enemies on perfect as opposed to okay or great, like, is its own reward. But yeah, once you get into the more like interesting enemies is when like things really start to ramp up, and that's where like the main intrigue of the game is. And even on this track, which is coming up here in a second, you're gonna see some of that already.
Okay, interesting. Can I ask you, like, so like, you know, it's a visual novel, like, how much of a visual novel is it? I mean, I understand that it's like half of the game is the visual novel, half of the game is the rhythm stuff, but is it like truly 50-50, or is it like, the visual novel stuff is just what gets you in between the rhythm sections.
It feels like the latter, even though the cadence of the the story mode visual novel stuff is like after every track or after every 2 tracks. So it feels like 50-50, 60-40 maybe. But I will say it's kind of a bit serviceable. I'm not like, after 4 hours, I'm not super engaged in it. And here's like the sliding, like the half beat enemies. You'll see that most enemies have a circle under them, but if they have a diamond, they're on the half beat there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so the story mode feels a bit more serviceable than like this is definitely the meat of the game right here. Is the track and much less so the story.
Okay, that makes sense. In terms of like, are you a musician, Christian? I think like you are a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been known to hit some tasty licks on the axe. I played bass and I've picked up some guitar, but I'm not as great as you are, of course.
Enough of this. But I guess my question for you is like, sometimes like with rhythm games, like I had this problem with like Rock Band or like Guitar Hero, where like it is fun, but it kind of is a little off for me, where it just doesn't feel quite right in terms of like how the rhythm of these songs go or whatever. You know what I mean? Like is this a game that feels like it gets like musicality right? Do you know what I mean?
That is funny you say that, because I'm playing most of the game on medium, mostly because the game is challenging. We're gonna speak on that in a little bit, but like I definitely feel where you're coming from, where sometimes it feels like I could be doing more with this rhythm, and the enemies that are landing on the beats just like aren't doing enough to satisfy that. But I think that's more of like a musician background than like a game critique per se for me. Interesting. Yeah, an interesting question for sure.
Well, because it's the sort of thing where like that is what sort of like keeps me away from a lot of like rhythm games. I do like rhythm games, but like I can't expect them to be more than they are. You know what I mean? More than just like, oh, this is a genre that only kind of gets it right. Which is why I found Hi-Fi Rush so refreshing, because I was like, oh, this game actually kind of gets this genre, this like action rhythm genre, in a way that like other games like Crypt of the NecroDancer don't, Sure. Is it like, I can hear the music a little bit. Obviously you're playing on like a 3-stringed guitar. Is it very like guitar driven music, or is it a little bit more on like the synth side?
No, it's more guitar driven. Like that is like the main weapon that Cadence has, is like she gets this guitar. But I will note, like, it is only ever the 3 tracks that you get. You won't get a 4th or a 5th like
I see. Okay.
Like in Guitar Hero. So this is actually a great time to bring up our reporter. Hold on. No, for a second. Almost forgot about this. Here? There are mini games in the game that are kind of WarioWare sort of inspired or looking or feeling, and to bring in Sam Woods again, he's a reporter that reviewed this game. He wasn't as high in the mini games, and he kind of felt like they broke up the pace of playing the main track. And I'll agree with him, but also in isolation, these mini games were also kind of fun. So there's yoga. You'll see. I have a clip of burger building. I've got this funny like photography session. They're all interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to point this out. This is kind of fun.
This is fun. I'll say this is bizarre. it's like
bizarre.
Some yoga going on. And can I say too, like I kind of like it's got that like Scott Pilgrim comic kind of like art style to it, which I'm into. Yeah.
They play with the art style in the mini games in some cool ways, I think. That was one of the main appeals. Specifically in the photography clip, you'll see what I mean there.
Okay.
Where was I going? Oh, it's Sam Woods. So Sam Woods, our reporter, reviewed the game, and he said something on that note about like complexity. He said, and I quote, where is it here? I'm something of a Guitar Hero enthusiast myself who, in my heyday, would spend hours beating most songs on expert difficulty. 15 hours or so in Rift of the NecroDancer, and I was still stuck on medium at best. That is like
Oh,
the
interesting.
main thesis that I want to hit on with my time in the game. It is very challenging. We're going to see here in a second. I did try some higher difficulties, and for me, it isn't like the rhythm that throws me off per se, but like enemy patterns that when thrown more at you, if you're not familiar with them, it is very hard to keep track of. And I think that's
Interesting,
going to be
okay.
the main draw of the game for people who get really into it. But for someone who's like into more like, I guess, a casual approach to like this kind of rhythm game, it can be a bit overwhelming. Satisfying, sure, but also overwhelming.
Yeah. So were you big on like Guitar Hero or Rock Band or whatever?
Yeah, I loved both. Specifically, the drums on Rock Band were kind of my thing.
Dude,
and
yeah,
then
me too. It's so
Guitar Hero
sick.
was fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, playing that, like you said, playing something like that and playing a real instrument is pretty different, kind of night and day.
Yeah, they are different. Oh, I see what you're saying about this photography thing. But it's interesting to hear though from someone like Sam who keeps a Guitar Hero guitar on his wall in his office.
As we all should.
As we should, and you know, I'm a disgrace for not doing it. But like, it is interesting hearing like, oh, this game is actually like difficult. You know what I mean? In terms of like trying to, you know, actually, oh, that's a little spicy. In terms of actually trying to like capture that maybe more hardcore rhythm game audience, which is good because I do feel like that a lot of games in the rhythm genre tend to go for more mass appeal, but it's like, oh no, if there's like real challenge to this, like for people who are into that or maybe playing what's like, it's like a Guitar Hero Online basically. Do you know what I'm talking about? Clone Hero, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah, you're talking, okay, the mod Clone Hero, or supposedly, like the downloadable thing where you can download user-generated songs or whatever and play a leaderboard. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but like it's cool that this can appeal to that though. Can I ask too, like, how much of this game have you seen? How long have you played? And like, is this a sizable sort of rhythm game?
Yeah, I'm a little over 4 hours. There's about 35 songs in the game, but I imagine there will also be DLC down the line, much like, you know, the original game had. I'm kind of skipping ahead here, but there are also more things than just the arcade mode and the, you know, story mode. There is a daily challenge, which we'll get to. I'll show off. And I'll just mention that there's also user-generated content support for this game as well. So you'll be able to custom edit your own track and then upload those and then have other people play your track. Or likewise, play other people's tracks if you're not into editing your own song, right? So there is that element in this game, or, you know, there will be now that, you know, the game is releasing.
Rift of the NecroDancer, I was not aware of your game. Oh my gosh, this actually looks very difficult in terms of the syncopation and like things being on the ands of these notes and stuff like that. This is actually like very complicated.
Can I open up the curtain a little bit?
Yeah, please.
So I was gonna try to show you what impossible difficulty looked like, and I failed so fast that I was like, I can't use this clip for video. I'll just go down to hard mode and show you this instead.
Yeah, this is actually very, very challenging. It's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but like the slimes are on the opposite. Oh my gosh, this is like so much.
Which I
can see why this is difficult, but go on.
This gets at what you were saying though about like hardcore audience who's like into this sort of thing. Like I remember when I think it was at Steam Next Fest, one of the demos that was on Steam. I did see the TikToks online of people, you know, playing on the higher difficulties and sharing their clips and, you know, going for the leaderboards or for higher scores, and like it's gonna resonate with a lot of people who are very into that sort of thing.
Yes,
Please
is
don't
not
judge me for this, man, by the way.
No, dude, you are doing way better than I would have done. Oh my gosh. And that's by Alex Mukala. He's
Binding of
phenomenal.
Isaac, right? Binding of Isaac, Super Meat Boy, Cave Story, and of course Crypt of the NecroDancer.
I just know him from he does some incredible like Final Fantasy Square Enix like remixes on YouTube where he plays bass and stuff.
Oh, that's sick. I did not know that.
I mean, that's what I know him from. But
I'm sorry.
are there like multiple
Alex
artists?
McCullough is Avengers Endgame, John Wick Chapter 2 is what what they've worked on. Yeah, so Jules Conroy is in the game as well. They did some music for Five Nights at Freddy's. Josie Breckner is Blossom Tales, and of course Danny Baranowski. That's the biggest name here. They did most of the music, and that is the composer for games like Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac, etc., etc.
Oh, gotcha. So can you walk me through? So is this like a boss fight? This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is a boss battle with Harmony, and the mechanics of this are a bit different. You have to dodge when the ring closes, like at the right moment, and then that opens up the boss for a counter strike, and then here's where you do damage, is these like strike moments. And of course, it gets more difficult. I didn't show another boss, but like the other bosses have a bit more complexity to them as well.
Gotcha. Well, this looks like a neat game, and I apologize for my skepticism right off the bat, because this seems like it is actually taking the rhythm aspects of this game very seriously, in a way that I was not familiar with.
Yeah, I was kind of, I wouldn't say writing it off, but I was kind of like, okay, it's a rhythm game. I understand what it's going to go for. And I saw the 3 tracks and I was like, I can handle this. And then, yeah, was very much stunned at how complex it can get.
Well, and it's cool too, because it seems like it is a legit step up from the rhythm aspects of Crypt of the NecroDancer. Because that one was just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You know what I mean? As opposed to this, which is on offbeats and ands and whatever else. And I think like this is a cool way to do this. I wonder if they'll do. Did you ever play like the Zelda DLC for that game?
Oh, that was a Cadence of Hyrule, huh? There was DLC for Crypt of the NecroDancer with Zelda.
Well, it was Cadence of Hyrule was what the DLC was.
I see.
It's like a standalone release. But,
I accidentally quoted Emily Perez.
I wonder if they'll have any like Zelda or other like Nintendo stuff with this, because I think that would be like a really easy win there. But
here's that daily challenge, by the way. We'll get a quick look at this. It is a randomly generated rift every single day. So fight for that leaderboard spot. And let's see if we can handle this.
Yeah,
I think this will be fail as well. I'm gonna just tell you now. It throws stuff at you that I hadn't really been introduced to before in the story. Oh, my biggest note, Peter. I almost forgot to mention, man. How did I forget to mention this? There's a tutorial for this game. I would almost not encourage someone to play the tutorial.
Oh, why?
Because they introduce the entirety of the game to you in the tutorial.
Oh.
So you get everything all at once, and it's kind of a lot. Like, you're getting all the enemy types, all the syncopations, and it's like, okay, I'm being introduced to too much.
Like, way too much, yeah.
And sticking to the story mode does a good way of showing you, introducing you to these more complex stuff in real time. Like, this is the first time I saw these zombies in real time, but I understood what they do just by seeing their and these traps. I almost forgot to mention the traps, which makes them go double time.
Double team, double speed, yeah.
And I feel like I have a firmer grasp of these new sort of complex mechanics just by seeing them introduced slowly over the course of time as I'm getting better.
Yeah. And so are you playing this on PC then?
Yes. Yeah. So it's only on two platforms, PC and Switch.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, this looks really solid. And like I said, a step up in terms of like the musicality stuff from the last game they did.
A lot of fun, Rift of the NecroDancer, and that is this week's Game Gems. Let us know what you think of Rift of the NecroDancer down below. For more on Rift of the NecroDancer, you can check out our review on our website. And for all things rhythm game visual novel, make sure you stick with the gamer.
Keep it together.